Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's mailbag is presented by my good friend Panda Sups. We got an awesome deal with them. If you want to save 30% off, the guy who owns Panda Sups is a big-time Raiders fan, and he said, you know what, 30% off with code FKC. That link's going to be available for you guys in the comments section and in the description of today's video. If you're looking to have some awesome workout supplements, or I take the BCAs especially, after a heavy night of drinking like we always do on the show, it's going to help not only just hydrate you, but you're going to feel a lot better when you wake up in the morning. PandaSups.com, code FKC. So the live mailbag, this was recorded on Tuesday, so please keep that in mind, depending on when I put this video out. But if you want to get on the show, it's hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. First one's coming in from Brandon Jasper. Heck no on Adams. Beers thrown, N-words thrown, and gets approached. He's frustrated. How many suspensions Mr. Grabby get? No way, fine suspension. No. I mean, I'll say this. I heard a lot of different people talk about the Davante Adams situation, and depending on when this video goes out, we might already have an answer to this. To me, though, there's no way that you can suspend Davante Adams. One of my biggest things is the NFL security, the Chiefs security system, they absolutely failed at halftime when the beers were being thrown at all the Raiders players. And then at the end, your one job as soon as that game ends is to clear the player tunnel. They didn't do that. The player tunnel was not cleared. Players were trying to walk through, and then you got cameraman walking in front of them. Does Davante Adams deserve blame? Yes, absolutely. And major shout-out to him for apologizing post-game. A fine? Yes. However, though, the more and more video angles I watch of that camera guy also deserves a lot of blame as well. Let's go to GJ. What up, bro? The last time defensive holding was called in the NFL on a field goal was 2015. It was against the Raiders, and the same official from last night's game made both calls. Oh, I know. I talked about it on my show earlier today, the one that went out on bright and early this morning on Tuesday. But you know what? At the end of the day, man, it sucked. It's a terrible call, and I will continue to say the Malcolm Kuntz holding call was worse than the Tom Brady rough of the passer. It was worse than Derek Carr getting hit by Chris Jones. That call alone totally changed the game. Let's go to Rashissimo Lock. 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. Jacobs playing the way he has. You need to run the ball, SMH. I mean, I was screaming at the top of my lungs, run the ball. And my biggest point was, if you're going to go for a 2-point conversion, and where you're confident that you could pick up 2 yards in that situation, and I think everyone watching right now would agree, picking up 2 yards on the goal line is a lot more difficult than picking up 1 yard at the 47-yard line. I'm running it on 3rd and 1, and then you get it, and then you spike it. Because to me, I'm working with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down then. I'd much rather have 3 downs than 2 downs. But that's the issue with Josh McDaniels. He overcomplicates the simple. And until he stops doing that, I don't have a lot of confidence in him being a head coach. Now, here's the thing, y'all. I want the Raiders Report this week, the next 2 weeks, the entire season, hell, the rest of the time that this show goes on, to be your safe space. And if you're frustrated about the Raiders, if you're excited about the Raiders, I want you to either vent in the comments or celebrate with me, because that's what this show here is about. So if you're frustrated after that Chiefs loss, I get it. I'm in your same shoes too, even if we're drinking beers out of shoes. I get it. Hit that subscribe button, vent your frustrations, let's get it all out, and let's keep on moving forward here, because win, lose, or tie, it's Raider Nation till I die. Let's go to Ayo. What up, Ayo? That camera guy got in Adams' way. He knew what he was doing. KC will lose the next 2 games. The schedule for the Raiders gets easier. Still hope. I mean, when I woke up this morning, the first thing I checked was, all right, what are the Raiders' playoff percentages? 17%. The Raiders still have a 17% chance of making the playoffs, and the reason is their schedule's easy. In fact, right now, the Raiders have the 4th easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. I do believe the only teams that have a winning record that the Raiders play the rest of the way, 3-2 Chargers, beatable. 3-2 49ers, beatable. 4-1 Chiefs. Raiders should have beat them this past week. So you got to have hope. Got to just believe, baby. Let's go to Nolan. What up, Nolan? Since the Raiders are 1-4, should they start trading away players, oh boy, and stock up for next year? Who's the biggest trade chip? I mean, you're going to hate this answer. I kind of said it on my live post-game show yesterday. It's Josh Jacobs. Your number 1 trade chip right now is Josh Jacobs. You declined his 5th-year option, and if Josh McDaniels is like, no matter what, we're not bringing Jacobs back next year because you could bring him back as a franchise tag, which I would rather do. Like, I'm not going to give him a contract extension. I would tag him, which costs $12.7. If McDaniels was like, I don't care what he does, we're not bringing him back, then my question for you would be, if you knew that the Raiders weren't going to bring back Josh Jacobs, would you trade him? Like that's how I would say it, because right now, the way he's running the ball, second-round pick for Josh Jacobs, or you have him this season, he leaves next year, and then you get nothing. If you're a team that you think that you can't win football games, then a lot of times coaches start trading those pieces that are going to be free agents next season. I don't want to go to that route. I know Raider Nation would get really freaking ticked off. I don't want the Raiders to trade away him, but for the sake of that question, your probably most valuable trade chip right now would actually probably be Josh Jacobs. So would you trade him if you knew he wasn't returning next year? Why for yes and for no? Let's go to Christopher Leonard. You're next up here on the Raiders Report. We went from a playoff team to the worst team. McDummy is way over his head. Team is better than 1-4. Oh, the team's definitely better than 1-4. I mean, good head coaches, good teams, they find a way to win. Bad teams, bad head coaches, they find a way to lose. And right now the Raiders are playing like a bad team. And I see all the time people like, oh, it's McDaniels' first year. Oh, you got to give him time. What do you mean you got to give him time? You were a playoff team last season, and now you are 1-4. That's a joke fest. I mean, this has got to be, again, though, if McDaniels had actually done something in the past and he would have been an incredible head coach, you give him a short leash. He's never done anything as a head coach. In fact, he's always been really effing bad as a head coach. So let's go to Junebug Raider JB. What up, bro? Besides the refs missing big calls in crucial moments, McDaniels really needs to sit the playbook down. We could have went to overtime. I'll say this. I did not mind the aggressive two-point conversion call. I know it backfired, but let's just face it. Patrick Graham made no adjustments there in that second half. I had no confidence that they were going to be able to stop that Chiefs offense. You also have to tip your cap once in a while to your opponent, because when you look at the numbers in terms of the Chiefs being down by 10 points throughout Patrick Mahomes' career, it is wild how good they still are. Like, Patrick Mahomes' numbers down by 10 compared to Tom Brady's, it's not even close. That's how good they are. You have to be able to respect that, and they were trying to take the lead. I'm not going to hate on aggressive play calling. I don't mind it. I have a bigger issue with the 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 play call, which really I think ultimately shot the Raiders in the foot. Now, I'll tell you this, y'all. I woke up this morning, and I was ready to go. I was ready to go because I took some BCAAs when I went to bed. Now, I'll admit, I did not go to the gym, but I do plan on going to the gym after today's show. Why? Because I'm going to take some pre-workout. I'm going to get all amped up. And another product that I absolutely love from Panda Sups is their greens, which, let's face it, getting greens in your diet is definitely not an easy thing to do. And if you go to pandasups.com, use code FKC for this week, that's going to get you 30% off. If you're looking to just even get more out of your workouts, they did just release their brand new test boosters, which it kind of makes you just feel like you're 20 years old again, or you can go in the gym, get a good sweat in. And, you know, my dad's always like, oh, you're getting a belly now. Wait until you get a little bit older. Here's the thing. You take some of this, she's going to like it too. It gets the testosterone up. You know what I'm talking about. FKC, 30% off, pandasups.com. Speaking of getting that girth going, let's go to Girth Bearded Dad right now. Mitch, I'm here and frustrated. I don't see any leadership from anywhere on this team from the top down. I need to see somebody step the hell up. We need somebody to fill that Papa B role we lost. It's not going to be McDaniels, man. Well, you might as well throw that out. The thing is, though, when you have certain players on your team, you're hoping that they can almost be that extra leadership standpoint. I talked to Max Crosby today. You know, just told him, I was like, hey, man, you're keep on killing it. And he said straight up, he's like, we need to get better. And I was like, you're going to be totally fine. Here's the thing, though. You need guys like Crosby to step up, be that leader. You need guys like Derek Carr to be that leader. You need Davante Adams to be the leader. You need your players who got brand-new contract extensions. Like, where the hell's Hunter Renfrow? Where the hell's Darren Waller? Those guys have been really struggling, man. Chandler Jones finally showed up. You do need some leadership, though. There's no doubt about that. Let's go to Rudy. What up, Rudy? Tim Brown reminded the diehard Raider fans today that after a 4-win start, their Super Bowl team lost 4 straight. There's a lot of football left to be played. Keep the faith. Real one for life. Just win, baby. Win, lose, or tie. You do have to keep faith. I legitimately think, and this is a crazy thing to say, the Raiders will be favorites in their next 6 games. I know they're 1-4. I believe that the Raiders will be favored their next 6 games. So let's say you win 5 out of those 6. So you win 4 out of those 6. There's still a lot of football. This is a frustrating start. There's no other way you can look at it. My mindset is, though, hopefully you can only go up from here. Let's go to, oh, man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm going to call you KN. Hey, Mitch, need a breakdown on the field goal holding call. From what I saw, I couldn't see any type of holding going on. I couldn't tell you what he was calling for. It sucks to give you that answer. To me, it was a phantom holding call. The Chiefs refs, after making that call on Chris Jones, the next 6 penalties were against the Raiders. Those refs were so afraid to make a bad call or to make any call from there on out, both sides of the football. I mean, when you listen to the videos out there of the refs calling anything against Kansas City, and I hate being that guy, blaming it on them, that holding call, Malcolm Kuntz, will forever be one that I just can't wrap my mind around. And the fact that it's the same official and the last time he made that call was against the Raiders, I'm not kidding you when I said this. I really believe that the NFL should investigate those refs for that performance they put on Monday Night Football. Let's go to Vlad. What impact will Albert Wilson have on the Raiders going forward? It's a good question. He's going to bring you some speed. One of the things that I said when the Raiders officially activated him, or signed him to the practice squad, last week, was my one-word reaction was insurance. And the reason why I think it's insurance is because you don't want to have Hunter Renfrow back there receiving punts after his concussion. Keelan Cole, to me, does not offer you anything whatsoever in special teams from what I have seen thus far. So I'm hoping Wilson can potentially give you some special teams value. He can also hopefully give you a little bit of spark on offense, which, let's just face it, if it's not Davante Adams, Darren Waller's got a hammy injury. Hunter Renfrow looks completely lost in this new offense. Matt Collins was dropping balls left and right yesterday. The only guy you got on offense that can freaking catch it right now, I should say 2 guys. It's Josh Jacobs and it's Davante Adams. It's so, for me, when I think of disappointments, I'm thinking Hunter Renfrow's been a major disappointment. Darren Waller's been a major disappointment. So Albert Wilson, I'm thinking, is going to step up for one of those 2 guys. So speaking of those 2 guys, who's been the bigger disappointment this season? Is it Renfrow, type 13, or has it been Darren Waller, type 83? I get it. Hunter Renfrow had a concussion for 2 weeks. I get it. Waller dealt with a hammy last week. But even when those guys have been on the field, they haven't been good. Darren Waller, I think, cost the Raiders their Week 3 game. Hunter Renfrow, that fumble, that was really bad in Week 2. Did he get popped? Yes. But he also fumbled 2 times on that drive. They look like they have no idea what's going on. You paid them a lot of money. They need to show up. Now, that does fall on your quarterback. It does also fall on your head coach. It's not all on those 2 players, but you paid them the way you did because you were hoping they could go pretty far with you, and you haven't got that yet. So let me know, who's been the bigger disappointment, 13 or 83? I'm probably going to type 13, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Let's go to OG Bloodstain. What up, bro? Mitch, love you, man, but weird question. Let's say McDaniels tanks. Do you draft Young and let him learn off of Carr? I mean, here's the thing. If they tank, right, you got to be in the top 3 to have a chance at either Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. You want to get one of those top quarterbacks, you got to be in the top 3. I personally, if you're going to be in the top 3, I'm letting that quarterback play. If Bryce Young's your quarterback, you let him play. You move on from Derek Carr, you save $34 million, and the best thing that you can do for a young quarterback is ensure that he has a good running game. I take that $34 million that I'm saving from Derek Carr, and then I give Josh Jacobs $12.7 million on a franchise tag. Then you still end up saving 20. You try to figure out some of the other pieces because learning behind Derek Carr can help. And I'm not sitting here saying that it's not true. But if you're going to take somebody like Bryce Young in the top 3, you're expecting him to perform right away. That's why you're taking him in the top 3. And the best way to help out a young quarterback, again, is a running game. So I'm taking that Derek Carr money, and I'm giving it to Josh Jacobs. That's how I would do it. Let's go to Garrett Edwards. I hate that this team has potential to be good, but then they end up losing in dumb ways. It's not like they get blown out by the other team. We end up losing by a few points because of dumb decisions. It's dumb decisions. It's shooting yourself in the foot. It's just not executing, and it's not being ready. I mean, another great example to show that the Raiders were just, had their heads up their asses was, look how they started the second half, the third quarter. I mean, that's an embarrassment. You're up 20-10. Kansas City's offense once in a while is going to get cooking. Okay, whatever. They go right up down the field, touchdown 20-17. Raiders offense comes out. First play for the Raiders offense. I think it was, a holding? 1st and 20. Delay a game. 1st and 25. So now you're already like, oh, shit, we're in the 1st and 25 situation on the road. Kansas City gets going. You punt it away, and then they go back down the field and they score again. There's a lot of really, really frustrating plays, but good head coaches can get their team to rally. This team to me doesn't seem like they're rallying around Josh McDaniels. Call me crazy, but you're 1-4. Let's go to Aaron. How hot is Josh McDaniels' seat? I think it depends who you ask. I think if you were to ask Mark Davis, he'd probably tell you a big old fat 0. So actually, Jeremy, I think it's a good question. How hot is McDaniels' seat? Scale at 0 to 10. If you were to ask Mark Davis, I really think he would say 0. If I'm the owner of the Raiders, I'm giving it a 10. Does that mean that you fire him today? No, not necessarily, because realistically, you fire Josh McDaniels, and I don't know who you replace him with. I really don't. As it stands right now, I don't know who that person is. But you were a playoff team last season, and this team is more talented than that team last year. There's something missing there. To me, the seat needs to be hot, and there needs to be some answers, man. Let's go to Herschel. Herschel, thank you for the super chat. Now, again, guys, if I can't get to your questions, you can always do something what's known as super thanks, which is sending in a thank you, sending in a shout-out. If you can't join the live show, so shout out to Corey. Appreciate you guys sending in those super thanks, and if you want to be featured on a future show, don't be afraid. Send those bad boys in. All right, y'all, if you haven't already, hit me up on Twitter. Make sure you do so. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365, posting as much news I can. I do my in-game reactions to the best of my personal abilities. I'm updating you guys on IG, and if I missed your question, you can always hit me up. Slide in my IG DMs at Mitchell Renz 365.